The digs and
Yeah, like it was like pretty rap. So as a man,
No, I'm not supporting England. I have no reason to support England.
Like underground artists, yeah.
Oh, crap.
Heavy one.
Like Snapchat went mad that day. Like
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to the Twotouchpod with me, your host E3, and my co-host Kashar. Speak, bro.
Hey, this guy's
You're moving mad.
how, bro.
You're moving a bit nervous.
Alright,
bro.
cool. I didn't know. I thought he was gonna carry on.
No. Of course.
Alright, cool. Start again.
Cool.
3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to the Twotouchpod, everyone, with me, your host E3, and my co-host Kashar.
Thank you, people. Please, bro. You put me off, bro. Today. You put me off today. You know.
This is not like you.
Hey,
Cool.
start again.
No. Just keep on going.
Cool,
No.
Go on.
Welcome to the Twotouchpod, everyone, with me, your host E3, and my co-host Kashar.
Thank you, people. We're back. Another episode. We got a special guest here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let E3 introduce him. But yeah, go on.
Obviously, someone I know from the ends, almost a big brother in certain cases, and someone very inspirational, especially in the world of football, but also in the world of faith. We've got Mr. Lexus Beeden.
Appreciate
Welcome.
coming on.
Really
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Look for the intro though.
I know, man. Hey,
Bro.
we don't want to talk about the intro, but we'll get straight into it. But yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely, as we always do with all our guests, we kind of break down, obviously, the origins to how you started playing football. And then, obviously, certain topics that we obviously want to break into, we'll get straight into that. So, in your own words, kind of talk to us about how you kind of got into football.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, we'll kind of go further down the line as time goes on.
The ball thing just came naturally over time, to be honest. You know, when you're growing up in the ends, it's like there's so many different avenues you can go down. Like we all know, different ways. Some people go down business, some people go down the road stuff. And mine was just football, like just growing up. I remember just playing out all the time from the morning all the way to the dark. So your mum screaming at you to come inside. Saying if you come inside, you can't go back out. Like them sort of things, you know what I mean? So just remember growing up, just playing with the man them, just playing in the ends, playing in the cages, like normal stuff that a lot of people from South do. And then so obviously as I got older, I remember in secondary school, like people saying that, "Raw, like you can actually play ball, like you're actually good." And at the time I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm just playing because the man them are playing."
Yeah.
And then I remember when I was in like year 10 or year 11, I remember I had a try at Millwall because I used to go kicks. And then I remember I went with Paul Pierce and Gary, big up Gary. And I remember I went in trainers, like, you know them old school Air Maxes. Like I went in them, I didn't even have boots. Like that's how much I didn't even understand what was going on. I remember I went on trial and they were like, "Where's your boots?" I was like, "I don't wear boots." Like, do you get what I mean? I was like, "I don't wear boots." And then like obviously after a couple sessions, they're like, "You're a very good player, but like we don't know where your head's at," kind of thing. So then they sent me away. Then the same thing happened at Wimbledon. I went to Wimbledon when I was 16, same thing. Like this was when I think it was either year 11 or first year of college, one of the two. I remember going in, same thing, same Air Maxes, gone in. They're like, "Where's your boots?" I'm like, "I don't wear boots." Then they just sent me away. They tried to give me an excuse, like, wait a pass or something. But yeah, then I remember I was meant to go uni, so I was meant to go Northampton. So I remember I had my unconditional offer and stuff. And then I had like a mentor at the time, Stephen, big up Stephen as well. And he was basically saying to me, like, "You're really talented at football. Like, take football seriously for a year and see where it takes you." And at this point, I'd never actually played at any sort of level. Like, I just used to like train with teams or like play with the mandem. And I remember going to my mum and I was like, "Mum, like, let me take a gap here, take ball seriously, and you know, if something comes from it, then I'll go with it. If not, then obviously just go to uni." And I remember I did an apprenticeship with Stephen in like coaching and that just to like get by. And then that's when I went to Tooting. Big up Ash and Cornelius, like very good managers, very good people. And yeah, I just started playing, bro. Like obviously I was just playing football. Like obviously I was playing first team football. At the time, it was like I didn't understand what I was doing. So like I had a lot of players that were playing, like Isaiah Jones, Abraham Odo, Danny Bassett. Like we're all close now, and it's like we're just playing ball. Like we're not thinking about anything. I think that's why we were so free. And then I remember towards the end of the season, even before that actually, I got injured. Like I tore my meniscus.
Okay.
And this was in like I think November. And then all my boys started going on trial. Like Isaiah went to Middlesbrough. Abraham went to Charlton. Like everyone's going on trial and I'm just sitting there injured. I'm thinking, yo, like I've taken a year out for this, like just to be sitting here injured. Then I remember thinking I was done. And then I came back in like Feb. Then I started playing. End of the season comes now. Bro, I'm just hearing my name flying about like, "Oh, this club want you, this club want you, this club want you." And I'm confused, innit? Because it's like, I've never experienced this, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, bro, that's when obviously I heard about Reading, and I heard about loads of clubs, bro. Like, it was a lot. And then obviously I ended up going into Reading. I think I went for 2 weeks. Yeah. Then I came back. But it was mad, bro, because like at the end of the season, the head of recruitment, I think it was either Steve Shorey or Nicky Shorey, like he was coming to training and that. Not to my games, to training.
Yeah.
So imagine like Reading is obviously not far, but it's far enough for a man to be coming from Reading to come and watch me train.
Yeah.
So I remember one time I was training and he's called me, he's like, Lexus. And I'm looking, I'm like, who's that, fam? Do you get it?
Yeah,
Then I go over to him and then he's like, yeah, do this, do that. He's like, very good. He's basically coaching me.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there thinking like, who's this brother? Do you get it? Little did I know, was the head of recruitment at Reading. So that's when I ended up going in. Then I think I went for like 2 weeks. I was in digs with a couple boys, did well, came back. And then we had a friendly against them because obviously I went on trial. So that was the sort of arrangement.
Yeah.
So we had a friendly, done well. And then we had a couple, like, so obviously my boy Abraham went to Charlton. So we had a friendly against Charlton. Okay. So imagine I've come in to bring all my stuff. And I remember like my manager Ash going to me like, you're not playing today. I was like, what? I was fuming, like my head's hot. Like I'm thinking, what's going on? So I'm sitting in the stands with the mandem and that now, just watching the game as normal. And then I remember at the end of the game, one like interviewer comes to me and he's like, Lexus, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, can I interview you quickly? Thinking I didn't even play, bro. Do you get? So then I'm standing there confused, like everyone's snapping me and that from the stand. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Like I don't have a clue what's going on. And then he goes to me, oh, how does it feel knowing that you're signing for Reading tomorrow? This and that. And that's how I found out. Damn. So imagine like I've gone to the game thinking like, why is man not playing? Like I'm just fuming. Like I just want to play. Do you get? Yeah. Then all of a sudden he's saying to me like, oh, like how do you feel knowing you're signing for Reading tomorrow? Like you're one of the very few boys that have obviously gone on to get a professional contract. And I'm standing there with the mic in my hand. I'm thinking, yo, like,
yeah.
What are you telling me right now? Do you know what I mean? Like, is this a prank? Is this a joke? So obviously I've answered the questions and that. Then obviously when I finish, my manager Ash has come to me. He's like, that's why you didn't play today.
Okay.
And then obviously that's why my agent at the time, Chris, obviously big him up. We still talk till now. That's when he was like, yeah, like you're going up tomorrow to like do your medical and that. And then, yeah, bro, that was just how it started, man. And then I signed my first deal, and then the rest has just been.
The rest is history.
Do you know what I mean?
So what was I gonna say? What position did you start off with? Did you start off as a striker, a centre mid, or was you always a centre back?
I don't want to be cliche, but I actually started as a striker. This was mad. So when I was younger, I remember I was playing up top. I was fat in it. I was a fat kid, but I had a bit of technical ability. So I used to try to do the up top thing. And I remember like it was yesterday. I was playing Sunday League for United All Stars. And my gaffer Fabian, I remember one game, this is like my first game by the way, I've come on up top. I'll never forget Peckham Rye Park. You know that pitch is treacherous. Yeah. Bro, they've slapped the ball over the top. I've tried to turn and run. I've dropped on my face. Like, when I tell you my whole body is muddy, full of mud. And then I had a stinker, bro. I'll be real, like, even though I'm young and it doesn't really matter, I had a stinker. Like, I'm coming off thinking, yo, like, how's that my debut? And then I remember, like, after a few weeks, like, he just slapped me centre back, bro. I thought he was just saying, because you know how people say, oh, when you're black and big, you just go to the back. So I was thinking, what, you're just trying to stereotype me? Then, obviously, I went to the back and, like, yeah, bro, from then I've just been playing at the back. And obviously, it's worked out, innit? So big him up for that as well, because I never would have known, to be honest. I would have probably still tried to be a winger now. I still do try to, but you get
one of those blessings in disguise.
Literally, man.
No, that's good to hear. But obviously, as you kind of touched on just there briefly, the Reading story. So I just wanted to ask, you mentioned a bit about the teams that were interested in you. Was you at any other clubs during that time, or was it just Reading that kind of showed the most interest?
At the time, obviously, my agent at the time kind of dealt with it. So it was more like, that's what he thought made the most sense. Because I think it was like 9 clubs, bro. Like, I think it was like Sunderland, Leeds, Charlton. There was a few more, I can't remember from now, but there was a lot. Yeah. And obviously, I remember he came to me, he said, go to Reading first and then see how it is. So obviously, I went there. Then they said, yeah, like, we wanted to come back. So I think I went for like, just before, in between the Reading game and the Charlton game, I think I went for another week. And then that's when obviously Dave said to him that they want to sign me, but they haven't told me. So I'm thinking, am I going to go anywhere else? What's going on? And then, that's when I ended up signing. So I think it was more so like my agent at the time that kind of orchestrated everything. Yeah,
definitely. Because like, to be fair, when I saw at first when like, you know, we have the South London press. So when that kind of story was in the news that, oh, we're seeing Lexus being linked to all these clubs, and obviously you playing at the time, I think Tooting and Mitcham.
Yeah.
We were thinking that, especially when we go to the ball sessions, Wessex and other places, we always see Lexus, big defender, technical, and it was almost like it was a move that was deserved, definitely, because it was like you were doing well for Tooting and Mitcham, you were kind of getting the numbers that you needed to kind of express the interest of others, and it wasn't a surprise to the point where we're now seeing you play in those games, and you're seeing Rising Ballers put the little clips out and other kind of pages as well. So it was definitely something that was eventually going to happen, but it was a matter of which club and when that was going to happen. But touch on a little bit more about the Reading story in terms of like, how was it in terms of the experience up there, and obviously what did you kind of see during that time in the professional environment?
It was a great experience, man. I feel like I was around some bad boy players, man. Like Michael Elise's, like I think when I was there was like Charlie Adams, Sonny Aluko. Like, these are big names, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like, as much as I'm a pro as well at the time, it's like, brother, these guys are like massive guys in the game. You know, like we're talking about Charlie Adam. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't say his name lightly. Do you know what I mean?
Literally.
But it was a great experience. I think, if I'm being honest, I think I did take it for granted. Because again, I still didn't understand where I was. So I didn't really know how to take grasp of it. Obviously, I did what I could, but it was like, I was still very much like, both. I was just like, just going into trains, going into play. I was doing well, but yeah, it was just one of those things, innit? But the experience was great. Like, there's so many aspects of it, like being able to train every day, like the way they take care of you. Like, even I remember the first day I went in and I saw the facilities, I was like, yo, like, remember, I've never seen this before, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, this is mad. And then, like, you go into the back and there's, like, the kit man with all the kit. So it's like, you have all the numbers and it's like, you just see your name and then you see all your stuff. So, like, you see a towel, your jumper. Like, I think you even had, like your jacket, a hat with your number on it, tights and that. I'm thinking, yo, what's going on? Like, I feel like a celebrity. Yeah. And obviously, it was just mad, bro. Like, even little things like going in to eat and that in the canteen, it's like the vibes and that, playing pool and that. I'm not used to it, innit? I'm used to just going training in the evening, hour a bit, and just cut. Do you know what I mean? So, like, all of this stuff, like, it was so new, but yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. Honestly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could explain like what happened. Why didn't Reading extend your deal, or like what happened at the end? Like,
to be fair, it was just COVID, innit? That's the reality. Like, obviously, I was doing well. Like, I was training with the first team a lot, with the Mandem. And yeah, it was just a thing where COVID came about and obviously the money was tight. And obviously at the time, I wasn't seen as someone that was going to be competing in terms of in and around starting. Doesn't mean I weren't good enough, but football's opinionated and I understood it. So I remember towards, like, just before like COVID actually happened, like, I remember, like, everyone was like, raw, like, what's going to happen kind of thing. Then obviously it got to a point where we had to go home, innit? Like, there was no training, no nothing. And then that's when they kind of called each person one by one, I think a couple months in. I was basically like, raw, like, whether you're going to get a new deal or not. Yeah. So I think I kind of already knew because of where I was at. It's not that I was in a bad place, but I also knew that I still had a lot to do. So when they told me, it wasn't really a surprise. And then obviously that's when I started going on to like trials to a couple places and stuff like that. And then, yeah,
definitely. So you kind of mentioned just there about the trials. Do you want to touch on a couple clubs that you did go to, and obviously kind of what was the experience, and then obviously we will touch on kind of the club that you obviously kind of made a name for yourself at Carl Charlton.
Where did I go first? I went Salford City, St. Manny. I remember I went there for a week. It was so mad because it's like I went there for a week and then I went Middlesbrough for a week. Okay. So it was like literally back to back. So imagine I've gone from, let's say, Sunday to Saturday. Yeah. Then I've travelled to Middlesbrough to start training on Monday. So I didn't have no break. But anyway, I've gone to Salford City and I remember the first day I was like, this is not it, bro. I'm not joking. We ran for like 45 minutes straight. Because obviously, if you know Warren Joyce, the coach, I think he was at United and that when Sir Alex Ferguson was there. And he was obviously the gaffer like the 23s. And I remember he just used to run us like a dog. And I was like, I remember I had a headache for like the whole trial. Like drinking bare water, bare water, like anything I could get. And it didn't work. But I remember the trial was sick. Like I remember I was doing mad well. And then we played a game at the end and I played well. And he took, like to me, like, I think he thought I was very good. Like, he kept talking to me. He was like, He's like, you're very good for someone your height, like on the ball. He's like, you're a good defender, this and that, like encouraging me. And I remember even one session, Gary Neville was there because you know he's like part owner. And even that was like, I was starstruck because I'm thinking, yo, like this is a man. Remember, I support United as well. So I'm looking at him. I remember coming out and I'm like, yo, is that Gary Neville? Like,
you gotta give it the little squint.
Like, you know when some man move brother and it's like, oh yeah, just me, I don't care, bro. Man's look, I'm thinking, brother, that's Gary Neville, bro. Like, I'm talking to the man them on trial, and I'm like, that's Gary Neville, bro. Like, did you get? But and then he even said something, I can't remember, but he said something like, keep going, like you have a future or something like that. And obviously I kind of brushed it at the time. I was trying to do the big time thing, so I was like, yeah, cheers. But in my head, I was like, fam, this is Gary Neville. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously I went straight to Middlesbrough, and I only found out like a couple of years ago actually that my agent at the time. So basically, Salford had said they wanted me.
Okay.
But because I'd gone to Middlesbrough like straight after, and my agent at the time, not Chris, someone else, because they'd assumed that I was going to get a deal at Middlesbrough, they kind of said no, and they brushed Salford.
Okay.
So I didn't know that all up until like a couple of years ago. But so that obviously was taken off the table. Then I went to Middlesbrough, and obviously my boy was there, Zaya. A couple of my boys were there, to be fair. And then, trained with the 23s. I think I trained with the first team like once. And at the time, there was like ballers again, like Ravel Morrison, Lucas Nemetra, like, do you know what I mean? Big names again. And obviously, bro, I did well. Then was meant to have a 23s game on the Monday against United.
Okay.
And obviously that was my decision. So it was like, if I play good in this game, I'm getting a deal. That's what they told my agent because I've done well.
Yeah.
Then obviously on the Sunday we had, you know when you do shape and that, you go in to do shape and stuff.
Yeah.
But then the game was kind of in the air because of COVID. So then I didn't know what was going to happen. So then the game got cancelled, and that's when that lockdown officially happened. So I had to come all the way back to London. So then... so obviously I was just in London waiting, chilling, doing dumb things, like just living in it. But then also doing the fitness side, like running 10Ks, 5Ks, you know how it was going. And then I remember I went back, like when COVID obviously lifted, then I went back, new gaffer. So at the time I went there, Jonathan Woodgate was the gaffer. Then when I went back, it was Neil Warnock. So obviously I've gone in again and I've trained, we played the game, I've done well in the game. Like I've done well again in it. But it's like, my man doesn't know me. So whereas when I first came in, it was like, oh, like this is a kid from Reading, like he's a good player, this and that. And there was always a bit of a link there because obviously my boys were there. So it's like they knew me, so I played against them, so you know what I mean? So they knew. But whereas when I've come in this time, he doesn't have a clue who I am. So the reality was it came to a decision time, and he basically said, because of COVID, that they can't give me anything because I'm in a stage where I'm way too good for 23s, but I'm not ready to be playing in the champ. And at the time, I was 21, rightly so, probably. Like, I was good, but I didn't think I was going to be good enough to be starting week. And that's fair, innit? So they said that what they would have wanted to do is sign me and send me on loan, but they can't afford to. So I ended up not getting nothing. And then, bro.
So how did you feel after that? Like, was it was you like disappointed? Like, I don't think this ball thing's for me, or did you keep having faith and kept going? How was you feeling, basically?
At the time, I had all sorts of emotions because, if I'm being honest, I wasn't in a great place. Like, obviously, the backlash of being released and going straight into lockdown after thinking that I'm going to get something, because this is when I started to kind of understand what it was like. And obviously, I was doing my thing. Like, I'm not a person that is fake. So if I go somewhere and I don't do well, I'll be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I had to work on this, maybe I had to work on that. But even based on the decision, I was gutted because it's like, it's not even down to me. Like, if it's a thing where they said, oh, you're not good enough or you're not ready or not, then it's cool. But it's like, it's also like, if there wasn't COVID, would I have got a deal? Maybe. So at the time, I was gutted, man. But obviously everything happens for a reason. So obviously now I look back and I wouldn't change it now. But then my head was gone, man.
No, fairs, man.
No, definitely. I wouldn't even be thinking about that kind of experience that you've obviously had. So obviously it's a situation where you kind of learnt from, not really your mistakes, but you've learnt from the feedback given. And you've obviously kind of naturally had to take the drop down into non-league. And you obviously kind of slightly fast forward to your time at Carshalton, where you were, putting up great numbers, playing for a good team. Kind of talk to us about that experience that you had, and then obviously come to your current moment in time with your new move.
I think obviously I have to touch on just a bit prior to that, obviously to get to Carshalton, but it was just like, after I got released and I didn't get anything, and obviously I had I think it was like a year where I had a bad year, like in terms of the club that I went to. I'm not gonna talk into it too tough, but not even just in terms of like performance or anything. Just like it was just a bad year, innit? Like, so then I kind of came to the realization that I've got to just do it now, innit? Like if I want to do this football stuff properly, I'm gonna have to humble myself and just take a step back, because sometimes in life you have to take a step back to go forward.
100%.
And I think that was the hardest thing to actually start. You know when they say the hardest thing to do is start something?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was like, I'm here sitting thinking, I know I'm good enough. So bear in mind at the time, like I'm going goals with like big ballers, like, do you get it? I'm not even going to talk too many names, but, and they're saying like, bro, like what club you at? Like you're good, like you should be here, you should be here. And bear in mind, I've got no club. So I was like, my head was gone, but I was like, you know what? I was like, if I want to do this thing properly, I've got to do what it takes, innit?
Yeah.
So that's when I started going to like Herne Bay, Seven Oaks. Obviously had good seasons there. And then I remember in the off season, I tore my quad. And I'm not really someone that gets injured.
Yeah.
So at the same time, I was thinking like, what's going on? So then the whole off season, I didn't do anything. Like I went on holiday and whatever. And then I had opportunities to go into full-time clubs, but because of my quad, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So obviously I'd had a good season at Seven Oaks. And then literally the way I went to Carshalton was so mad. Like obviously the gaffer Pete, big up Pete, man. He's like one of my closest people in football. But I remember my boy Danny Bassett, who's one of my closest friends, he was at Carshalton. So the last pre-season friendly was against Carshalton.
Okay.
So, and that was my first game back,
Yeah.
like literally. So I played and I think I came on at like the 60th minute and I was just buoying it, bro. Like I was just having fun.
Yeah.
And then I remember Pete came to me, he was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, playing, innit? Do you know what I mean? Because obviously everything else had fallen through. So I was just going to stay there. And then after the game, I remember my boy came, he literally called me and he was like, come Carshalton. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, that's where like my faith came in, because obviously sometimes when things like that happen and you have that feeling, you just go with it, innit? Like, and I had a piece about it. So literally like, he was like, come Carshalton. And I was like, what are you talking about, bro? He's like, you know the gaffer knows you, because he knew me from I was at Tooting.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah, like the gaffer knows you, you know you'll play, you'll do well, just come in it, like league above, like that's what will get your name popping again. I was like, you know what? I've got nothing to lose at this point. And this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to build anyway, so let me do it. So then that's how I went there. So I've gone there, and then, yeah, bro, again, like the rest is history. Like I feel like off the back of those 2 years, I was now in a space where I had my confidence back. I started to love the game again. I was just free in it.
Yeah.
Like the way that my gaffer was with me last season, he was just like, do what you need to do. Like, I know what you can do.
Yeah.
So there was no pressure, there was no expectation. Just go and do what everyone knows you can do at this point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, bro, obviously I was grateful to be in a good team. Like we had a lot of good players that year. We had a good squad, and obviously we just missed out on playoffs. But that was just a year to kind of stamp my name again. Do you know what I mean? Like just build myself again. Because what I learned is that you can have a pro, or you could be at a pro club for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But if you fall out, it's not just like you're going to just get something straight. Sometimes you have to go and earn it again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of men that come out of academies or clubs, they go into non-league and it's like they can't even last because they're not used to this style of play.
Yeah.
And what I learned is non-league actually prepares you for the EFL. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, bro, like I was just playing, man. I was just enjoying it. Obviously, my faith journey was growing, which was also making me feel like peace, like I was free.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I had no pressure, and yeah, man, I just said, let me just get it done. And then I think that's, yeah, man, obviously the end of the season came, and then obviously I won a lot of awards and stuff by the grace. And, you know, that's when I realised, like, yeah, man, like I'm starting to get back to myself. So, yeah.
Most definitely. And obviously kind of the main premise to this episode is obviously your journey into faith, and obviously the wider scheme of things where footballers are now starting to embrace their faith a lot more and expressing it publicly in platforms like this, and obviously in the interview. So kind of touch on to how you kind of built your faith from that moment where you got the opportunity at Carshalton, and then obviously till present day.
It was so mad because it didn't even start then. It's just that it started to come out then.
Yeah.
So my actual journey started like when I went to the club that I went to in between the time of getting released and then going to Carshalton. I said I had a bad year. So I had a bad year physically in terms of football-wise, but it was probably the best year because I found God again. So it was like, I remember it was one night where I was in the front room and I was going to do something mad. I'm not going to say it, but I was going to do something mad in it. And it wasn't working, but I felt like some mad presence and I didn't get it. And then prior to me going there, because obviously I was living up north. So prior to going up there, there was a pastor who kind of messaged me on it like, oh, like I see that obviously like you're coming up to this club. He's like, if you ever want to come to church kind of thing. So that was already in the back of my mind. And obviously I always believed in God, but I never had an actual relationship. It was more like, you know how it goes, like growing up, going to church, all of that stuff. So then I remember feeling this presence, and at the time I was talking to a girl, and I remember the girl said something to me like, she was like, go back to the Lexus you were before the world knew you. And bear in mind, like, we're talking about something completely wrong here. So I was like, where did that even come from? And then the next thing she said was, she was like, you want love, but at what cost? And then she just kind of left it. Then because of the presence I was feeling, something was just telling me to come off socials. So like I deleted everything. And then as I was going to delete it, I remember going on Instagram to delete it. And you know them faith pages? At the time, I didn't follow any. So one of them came off my thing saying your breakthrough is coming. And then that's when I came off and I was like startled. I was like, what's going on? Then that's when I messaged the pastor. His name's Barry, one of my closest friends to today. And then I went to see him. And then I explained everything. Like when I tell you I'm telling the guy about my life, you'd think we're best friends. And this guy is like, and just an average, like middle-aged white man from up north, and I'm a black tall brother from south. So it's like it doesn't even make sense what's going on. But that's how I knew it was God. Do you get it? So as I'm talking to him and I told him about the love thing, he was like, change the word love with God, and then what do you think your answer is? So I was like, you want God, but at what cost? And then I was like, myself, like I have to give myself. And then from there, it's like it kind of clicked in it. And then fast forward to Carshalton, obviously like I'd had my highs, I had my lows in terms of my faith, but obviously that year, last year, like I started to get secure in God again, like in terms of that security of knowing God and just having a relationship with him and just having that faith. Do you know what I mean? So I was just going as I was led, bro. Like I understood that my career is no longer my own, and I understood that God was everything to me. Do you know what I mean? Like he taught me through so many bad times. He taught me through so many difficulties, and it was like the least I could do is express that and show people that you can be a normal guy living a good life and have a journey of faith. Do you know what I mean? So weirdly enough, I didn't even look at like ballers in God and stuff for inspiration. Obviously big up what they're doing and stuff, but it's not like I was looking at them, I was like, yeah, let me just, you know, copy them. It was just like, I just wanted people to understand the normality, but the realistic side of having a journey of faith. Do you know what I'm saying? Like seeing it for what it is. Because a lot of people like to present it like it's this perfect, narrow route, and it's like, you have to be this certain way to be able to walk it. And obviously, like, it's not that, bro. Do you get it? Like, I'm a normal guy. Like, I do normal things, obviously, within guidelines and within parameters. But do you know what I mean? Like, you can also have fun. You can also do things like play football. You can also do well in football. So when my name started to pop again and, you know, I started to get a lot of attention, I just used it as an opportunity to glorify God. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you see a lot of my posts, like, more time, I'm not even talking about myself. Like, it's literally about God. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, like over the course of the season, it just became more and more and more. And then more people started engaging, and it became a thing where it's like, raw, like I want to be like this, or how did you do this, or like, how did you get to this stage, or stuff like that, you know? So it was more of an influence thing by the grace. So it was like, I just used it, literally. I just took it, I just ran with it. And then, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you said earlier, it's a blessing. Blessing in disguise.
Thank God.
Would you say, I got a question, would you say with your faith, what is the main things or certain things you stopped as you've grown closer to God? Because I know through people that have given their life to Christ and they've got baptized, they stop doing things or they cut out things in life. So what's the most difficult thing you cut out, and like just explain those type of scenarios? Like,
just the overall lifestyle that I live. Like obviously before, like being open about it, like I was just outside, innit? Do you get it? Like I was partying all the time. I was going clubs all the time. Like I was linking bare girls at the time. Like loads of different things that I'm doing with them. Like I remember I used to drink and I didn't even like drinking. Do you get it? Like I used to drink to try to get, you know, I've never been drunk in my life. Like never. But I've drank like a madman. Like, do you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Obviously now, like the music that I listen to and stuff is obviously a lot different. I've cut out a lot of things, to be fair.
Yeah, no, because that's what I said. With like your journey, I felt like you had to cut off things, because it's like where you are around like guys and the mandem and that, they're not gonna change because you're changing, innit? You know them ones there. It's like I'm changing. I have to change. It's in myself, not encourage everyone to change. It's myself, innit? So it's like, when you were talking like, oh, my journey is, I had a feeling you had to cut out things that you were doing before to where you are now. And I know how difficult that could be. So
what was I gonna say? There was even a time. Let me give you an example. Yeah, so I cut short. Yeah, I remember my initiation song was a Rod Wave song.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was starting to cut off worldly music, but I hadn't fully done it. So I remember it was a Rod Wave song. I think it was one of his new ones. Boys Don't Cry. I had bondage to that song, bro. Like I would listen to that. Like, do you get it? And I remember like the video even went viral on Twitter because my gaffer posted on Twitter, and my gaffer started listening to Rod Wave. Do you get it? And I was like, yo, like, do you know what I mean? They're literally like, I was the DJ as well in the change room. So I was the one playing all the bangers at the time.
Yeah.
So I remember literally like a month in, like I started to feel the conviction like, yo, this music thing, gotta cut it. So then I went from that initiation and being the DJ in the change room to coming in with my own headphones, like just playing gospel in my ears, and everyone's looking at me like, is this guy all right? Do you get it? But those are the sort of sacrifices you have to make, because over time, it opened the door to questions, and it opened the door to introducing people to obviously what I'm doing. Because then people will be like, right, like, why don't you listen to this anymore? Or why don't you do this? Or why do you act like that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm not perfect, but from what I did show, they could see a change in it.
Yes, I'm just
and that's the whole point of a journey of faith, especially with God. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the whole point is for you to change. You know when people say, come as you are, like, yeah, come as you are, but you don't stay as you are.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I'm saying? So them seeing actual physical change is like, right, like, this Lex guy is not the same. What's going on? And then that's when I started having conversations and that. Like, a few of my teammates started coming to church and stuff. Like, it was mad, bro. And then that's when I started to realise that I can actually do this, like, properly and actually encourage people. Like, even my gaffer, like, my gaffer will pull me before a game and be like, oh, like, can we pray? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's big.
And this is why, like, me and him are so close. Like, then he started talking to me about, like, his journey and, like, how before certain games, like, he'd fast and stuff. Then I'm chopping it up with him and I'm thinking, yo, like, how do we get here kind of thing? Like, and it could only be God. So do you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes... Like, imagine I just took off in my career, like, and I went the way that I thought I was gonna go. The reality is I wouldn't even be sitting here now.
100%.
Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, when we talk about blessings in disguise, bro, like, I've seen God through everything.
Yeah.
So do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, cutting all those things off, yeah, it was hard, but what I've gained from it is, yeah, man, it's incomparable, I'll be real.
Yeah. The digs
Like it was like pretty bad. So as a man,
no, I'm not supporting England. I have no reason to support England.
Like underground artists, yeah.
Oh,
then
crap.
heavy one.
Like Snapchat went mad that day. Like
Yeah.